If you are someone who is experiencing emotional patterns popping up over and over again that are keeping you stuck in your health and in your life, and you've tried all the modalities like breath work, tapping, talk therapy, I'll show you a very direct way to release these emotional patterns once and for all without getting into the stories and the memories behind them. I'm Karina, and welcome to my channel where we discuss practical ways to elevate our well-being from a mind, body, soul perspective. I used to really dread doing the quote unquote emotional work. I've always been committed to the path of personal growth, the spiritual path, but I never really resonated with the spiritual bypassing route of just trying to manifest whatever I wanted and ignoring any feelings that would pop up to contradict that. That just wasn't really resonating with me. I knew that I had to be in touch with my emotions because anytime that I would avoid uncomfortable emotions, it would result in self-destructive behavior. In my case, overworking and overeating. And maybe you feel the same way. You know that distractions like drinking, drugs, overeating, overworking, binge watching TV, whatever it may be for you, those are not necessarily healthy ways of dealing with uncomfortable emotions and situations as they come up. But you also feel like the more you try to work through your emotional material, the more it seems to take up space in your reality, the bigger it becomes. And that was me. I never really felt fully comfortable with the tools that were offered to me to help me deal with my uncomfortable emotions. I'm very grateful to have had a great support system, a lot of loved ones who were guiding me to different tools during low points in my life. And I tried a whole bunch of modalities: talk therapy, emotional freedom technique, AKA tapping, even hypnosis. I even tried rewriting negative beliefs into positive ones. And all of this would work, but more so on the surface level. It didn't feel like it was reaching the subconscious level. The same old patterns would continue to play out. It just felt like they were milder and less intense because I was able to withstand them better. But it didn't really feel like I was fully shifting into a new state of consciousness. And while I can't promise you that what I'm about to share with you will mean that you never feel an uncomfortable emotion again, because that is part of the process. That's part of the growth path, is that we release old patterns and new ones come up and new uncomfortable emotions come up and we get past those. Just part of the journey, right? So while I can't promise you that what I'm about to share is going to mean you don't experience uncomfortable emotions, it is a way to break out of those same old cycles that you may be stuck in. And the way to fully release those emotional patterns is by working very physically, very tangibly with your body, specifically with your fascia. Your fascia are the connective tissue that surround every single part of your body, your muscles, your tendons, your ligaments, and even your organs. Think of your fascia as the physical, the bodily storage space of your subconscious emotions, even emotions that you have no idea are there. And when you work with your fascia, you are releasing emotional material without getting into the story and the cognitive beliefs that surround them. So much easier than trying to root out every negative subconscious belief and trying to shift them into positive ones. When you work with your fascia, you don't need to talk through your emotions. You don't need to make sense of them. You don't need to understand why you feel the way you do and how that is motivating your behavior. None of that. All you have to do is actually feel. Feel the physical sensations that are moving through your body as you experience these emotions. And if memories pop up in your mind as this is happening, you stay present with those, you observe those while remaining rooted in your body. Now, you don't need to necessarily visit a formal practitioner in order to do this practice of working with your fascia. This is something that you can do at home by yourself, and this is the way that I practice myofascial release now. But early in my journey, I did visit a myofascial release therapist, and I'll share with you some lessons that I learned from that experience that you can incorporate into your own practice. There were two main takeaways for me from these sessions. Number one is that sometimes we subconsciously disown certain parts of our bodies in order to escape particular uncomfortable emotions or painful emotions. So our muscles might tense up as a response to a particularly emotionally tense situation. And then we try to forget about that part of our body as a way of escaping and avoiding feeling that again. So for example, when the myofascial release therapist put her hand on my right leg, I immediately started to go up into my head and into my thoughts. And she had to coax me to reconnect to my body and to fully inhabit my right leg. And when I did, first I uncovered the physical component of this, which is that when I was running track in high school, I put a lot of miles shifting my weight mostly into my right leg to deal with some other asymmetries in my body. And then the emotional component started to come up of feeling unsupported, feeling like I needed to do everything on my own, feeling lonely, feeling like I was different, especially from other members of my family. And by the way, anything to deal with our lower body is related to the emotional themes of our root energy center of security and of belonging. I have another video that goes into this in depth that I'll link in the description box below. But so I was uncovering a lot of this emotional material, and as I became aware of it, and I just stayed present with my right leg as these emotions came up. I didn't get into the story, I didn't get into the why or how this was influencing my current life, any of that. I just let it release. And then the second thing that I learned is potentially a little bit more so-called woo-woo, but if you're watching this video, I think you can handle that, is that the body releases emotions in mysterious ways. Sometimes the release process needs to complete. It doesn't just happen while we're actually releasing the physical tension in our fascia, in our bodies. So this can happen sometimes through dreams. After these sessions, and even after I practice myofascial release on my own now, I will sometimes have these dreams that are of situations that are completely removed from anything that I've experienced in this life. And so it might be from a past life potentially. But the key is that I am not getting caught up in trying to make meaning out of these dreams. I'm not trying to figure out what past life it's from or how it's affecting my current life or what it means about the emotional patterns that I might be encountering in this life or anything like that. I let them happen. I let them move through me. And then the emotional patterns that I'm experiencing in this life start to release. So now I practice myofascial release on my own at home, and I'll show you some ways to start practicing this yourself. So in order to release your fascia, you're going to want to have either a tennis ball or a massage ball, and we're going to place this at different activation points along our body. Specifically in this video, we'll be working with the lower body because that's where our root energy, our foundational energy is. And when we deal with those emotional themes regarding security, safety, and belonging, then energy in other parts of our body are able to flow much more freely. So the first activation point we're going to work with will be our SI joints. We're going to take our tennis or massage ball and we're going to place it underneath one of the SI joints and we're going to hold here. And then we'll take the ball and we'll place it to the other SI joint and hold. And then we're going to take the ball and we're going to move it a little bit lower down to the hip muscle. So just high on the hip here, and then we're going to press into the ball and hold. And we'll do the same thing for the other side. And then the last activation point that we'll explore today is the IT band. This is the largest concentration of fascia in your lower body, the iliotibial tract. That's just a whole band of fascia. So we're going to take our tennis ball and we're going to place it to the outside of our thigh, and we're going to press into the ball. And for more intensity, you can actually lift up the hip and press into the ball. I would recommend holding these points for 1 to 3 minutes. If you are experiencing sharp shooting pain that's beyond your level of comfort, I would back off and maybe practice for a shorter period of time. And also don't be concerned if for right now all you feel is the physical tension releasing. As you practice more and more, you'll feel safer inside your body and more connected to it. And that's when those emotions and memories might start to rise and you just stay present with them as they release. If you found this video valuable, feel free to like it. If you'd like to learn about more ways to feel amazing in your mind and your body, then be sure to hit the subscribe button. And I also have that video in the link below about postural habits and how those affect our emotions if you want to dive deeper into this theme of emotional release.